Hi everyone, myself Dr. Rajshekar Reddy, uh, and I'm working as an assistant professor in the College of Pharmacy, KL Deemed to be University. So my topic for presentation is green chemistry. So first I will go through this definition part and also the historical aspects of green chemistry. So basically green chemistry is defined as the design of chemical products, which may be maybe a pharmaceutical product or maybe agrochemicals related to whatever the chemical may be. So the process and also design of this particular process to reduce or eliminate the use of generation of hazardous substances. So basically, this is not a new term. So this was a first point in the year of in the first years of 1990s. So around 30 years back. So the most important aspect of green chemistry is the concept of design. Nothing but the schematic way how the chemicals will be produced and they will be designed. That is the main concept behind this green chemistry. So it includes actually the novelty, like whether we are going through a novel approach for the synthesis of a new chemical entity, or the process of production, whether like what kind of instruments we're using, and what kind of process are actually the workup process, maybe the extraction process of the preparation of the particular product. So these are all actually will come under, will be considered under this green chemistry. So there are actually 12 principles was proposed under this green chemistry to maintain that sustainability, especially to reduce the impact on the environment. Okay, so there are 12 principles. So actually, I'm giving the brief details of this particular 12 principles. So the first principle is prevention. So where we are going to prevent the waste which was actually generated during the production of a pharmaceutical substance or maybe a chemical substance which is of our interest. So preventing waste is better than treating, and also after cleaning the process that is which was created during the process. So first thing is we have to prevent as much as possible the waste which was produced from that particular methodology. So likewise we have to design our protocol or the scheme to reduce the wastage. Nothing but we have to minimize the formation of intermediates. So next come to the atom economy. So this is also very interesting thing. So while designing a synthetic methodology for a new chemical entity, so we have to think about what kind of reaction mechanism we are using, whether we are going through substitution reaction or addition. I'm talking about actually organic compounds. So whether we are following that nucleophilic like substitution reactions, elimination reactions, or maybe rearrangement, maybe sometimes addition reactions. So if you compare these four reactions, so my vote is for addition reactions and sometimes rearrangement reactions, because where the atom economy is very high. So nothing but like whatever the moieties, whatever the atoms we are actually spending for synthesizing a chemical entity, they will be incorporated into the final product. Nothing but we are going to nothing but minimize the wastage there. Nothing but we are minimizing the byproduct formation, and also designing of less hazardous chemical synthesis. Nothing but we have to sometimes omit the formation of harmful gases or sometimes harmful products formation, and also designing safer chemicals. So it is not always is not an interest of designing a new chemical entity. It is also there will be a concept like you have to nothing but the chemist has to think about whether the chemical is safer or not for humankind or maybe to the environment. And not only that, the fifth point is safer solvents and auxiliaries. Nothing but so while designing the chemicals, so we have to minimize the use of solvents and some other auxiliaries. Nothing but some reagents or maybe like acids. So these has to be avoided to improve nothing but to make it sustainable. And next, the sixth one, design of energy efficiency. So there are a number of techniques. Usually, the chemists they will go for laboratory techniques like by using Bunsen burner. Then later, we have seen that heating mantles they are like the conventional energy sources what we conventionally use in our laboratory. But there are a number of applications like microwave technology. Application is there for synthesis. Sometimes you can use ultrasonic radiation, sometimes UV radiation. So these are all advanced techniques where we can minimize the energy consumption for the generation of the product. And not only that, and the seventh point, which is also very very important, use of renewable feedstocks. So the starting materials, whatever we are using, maybe they are for example, we have a big synthesis which is involving 3 or 4 steps. Sometimes we can minimize that to 2 steps by choosing a raw material which is available and also renewable. It is also renewable and also reduce derivatives. So sometimes I already told you that we have to minimize the formation of intermediate substances, which also minimizes the production of unnecessary substances which is not of our interest. And nothing but the next point is catalysts. So catalysts also sometimes they are not good for environment because they're all metallic substances. So you know that the metallic substances are actually one of the major polluting agent in the water. So nothing but sometimes we can avoid the usage of catalysts. And the next point is design for degradation. So there are some chemical products designed so that they do not pollute the environment when their function is complete. They should break down into non-harmful products. For example, you see the chemical substances like polymers. So these polymers are non-degradable. So for example, when you're designing such kind of compounds, so there must be some provision. So the chemical should undergo itself the degradation process. For example, if it is to pharmaceutical products, there won't be any like problem with that because in body itself there is a separate mechanism for breaking down that molecule into non-harmful entity. So real-time analysis for pollution prevention. So during the starting of production itself, we have to have a clear picture of how to prevent the pollution. Nothing but, for example, recycling the solvents, or for example, to minimize the formation of byproducts. So this idea we should have in the initial stages itself. Okay, and finally, so there is a 12th principle: inherently safer chemical for accident prevention. So whenever possible, so for example, there is a kind of explosions, fires, and accident releases. So we have to avoid such kind of reactions where they are going to be into explosive product formation. So we have to minimize all these things. So these 12 are actually basic principles for green chemistry for safer environment and sustainability. Thank you.